My husband, 32 years old, and I, 31 years old, have been together for 8 years, married for 5. Over the years, we've struggled with communication and had quite a few fights that end with each of us saying some very unkind things. We've been fighting more and more lately, culminating in threats of divorce from each of us on separate occasions. During one such argument 3 weeks ago, where he suggested divorce, he stated that he gets nothing out of our marriage. He also mentioned that it was a poor financial decision to marry me, making statements like, if we get divorced, I'd walk away with half his money, my student loans partially paid off, a new car partially paid off, and our dog. As a note, he did not have student loans. We agreed together to the purchase of a new SUV 2 years ago, which is, in practice, my car, and we agreed during a different argument that I would keep our dog, as the dog is more attached to me. I offered to split custody, and he declined. When it's laid out that way, I agreed that it was a poor financial decision to marry me, but he knew I had student loans. All financial decisions were made together throughout the years, and he never suggested or discussed a prenuptial agreement. We both put up half the down payment for the house we bought together, and we both work full-time. My salary contributes just over 1/3 of our household income. I am paid well for my field of work, but his industry simply pays far more. I also said that we got married because we loved each other, not for financial gain. When these points were made, he agreed and said that was why he'd agree to splitting everything 50-50 instead of asking for 60-40 or 70-30. I was very upset that he said he gets nothing out of this marriage, and it feels as if he's saying he gets nothing from me, leading my mind to conclude that I'm worthless to him. He asked what I think I bring to the table. Aside from 1/3 of the household income, at least 50% of the household chores, and at least 50% care for our dog. And I said he gets love, loyalty, and support from me. I don't remember now what his response was exactly, but it was either reiterating, yeah, as I said, I get nothing out of this marriage, or something more direct, claiming that love, loyalty, and support are worthless to him. This reinforced quite a few feelings and things he said in other fights. He's previously said, tell someone who cares when I find something he says or does upsetting, and I don't back down from asking for or demanding an apology for said behavior. On occasions, he refuses to see my viewpoint or care that his actions or words have hurt me, and I pursue a conversation to get my emotional needs met. Admittedly, when I'm crying over something hurtful he's done and he walks away, I'm not exactly calm or polite when I pursue the conversation. He said, and how do you think this is going to get me to care? This being me raising my voice, typically. To me, this statement implies I need to earn his love, and that me making a mistake or not being perfect in how I communicate something means my point or needs don't deserve to be met or addressed. I know I have my own work to do on not yelling when we get into fights, no matter what comments he's sending my way or how I feel when he walks away or dismisses my point. However, I do ensure I communicate kindly and politely when I first bring up a problem or something we need to talk about, and stay calm as long as possible. I assumed he said that he gets nothing out of this marriage as something said in anger during a fight that he didn't truly mean. That, intentionally or otherwise, it was a jab meant to hurt me and/or end the conversation. However, yesterday when we were both beginning to get frustrated over a conversation but not yet fighting, he reiterated that he gets nothing out of this marriage. When I began to get upset again with no tears or raised voices, I asked if he really meant that while I began tidying up the kitchen to keep myself calm. He asked, what did I think he gets out of this marriage, as if it were a dumb and obvious question. Of course, he meant it. I didn't let myself consider the fact that he meant it, including all of the other things he said while we fight or he is mad, until he said the same thing not during a screaming match. So now I am evaluating all of the comments he's made regarding how he views me and our marriage. But this one I don't have an answer to, and I would like some help understanding. So I'd like to ask, what do you value in a relationship? What should you get out of being together with someone else? What is a reasonable expectation from a significant other, partner, or spouse in terms of what you gain by being in a relationship with them? To add, I am in individual therapy already. My husband has declined to attend couples or individual therapy for himself. Thanks so much to everyone who has already responded. I truly appreciate it. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He is looking for quantitative things, money, assets, etc. You are bringing things to the table that he has no way to quantify, love, loyalty, etc. If you can't measure it, then it doesn't exist in his mind. Does he get intimacy out of the marriage? Does he get a partner who cares? Maybe he isn't looking for that. Maybe ask him what marriage meant to him. Or was he expecting a dowry? Financial contributions on your part? Why? If he doesn't appreciate you, there is no table to bring things to. The conversation is null. Comment 2. Okay, so you fight all the time, and by your own admission, both of you say unkind things, clearly trying to hurt each other. Honestly, it sounds like neither of you get any emotional support or love out of this relationship. Your relationship has clearly turned toxic, and probably did so a long time ago. You both need to decide if you even want to try and save the relationship at this point, because his comments make it seem like he is more afraid of divorce than actually in love with you. Now, for the update. I'm back with an update on my situation with my husband. So, a week has gone by since the whole heated argument at dinner, and honestly, not much has changed. Same old stuff, just a different day. I started going to individual therapy sessions to work on my communication skills because at this point, I need all the help I can get. It's been tough to get my husband to agree to couples therapy, but at least I'm making strides in my own personal growth. I've been trying to use some of the techniques I learned in therapy during our discussions, but it's like talking to a brick wall sometimes. He's noticed that I'm making an effort, but he's still emotionally distant. I don't know if we'll ever get back to where we were, or if that's even possible at this point. Last weekend, I decided to host a small dinner for my parents to celebrate their anniversary. It was supposed to be a nice evening, but my husband was just not into it at all. He reluctantly agreed to join, but he seemed preoccupied the entire evening, like his mind was somewhere else. It was frustrating because I wanted to enjoy the night with my family, but he was just a distraction. During dinner, my dad brought up some family traditions, including marriage and partnership. I thought it would be a nice topic to discuss, but then my husband made this dismissive comment about marriage being a business transaction. That really set me off, and we ended up having a heated debate right in front of my parents. I could see the worried glances from my mom and dad while I was trying to keep it together and not lose it in front of them. After dinner, my husband said he needed to step outside for some fresh air, but honestly, I think he just wanted to escape the situation. I felt embarrassed and frustrated, but I knew I needed to follow him. So a few minutes later, I went outside and found him on the porch. I wanted to talk about what had just happened at dinner. We ended up having this tense discussion right there on the porch, with our neighbors walking their dogs and probably thinking we were going through a domestic dispute or something. He admitted that he felt trapped in our marriage, just focusing on the financial aspects again. He told me he would be better off alone, financially and emotionally. That really hurt to hear. I mean, we're supposed to support each other and grow together, right? But I guess that doesn't apply to us. I went back inside and my parents were there, cleaning up the mess we had made during dinner. They noticed my distress, but I just told them I was fine, even though I wasn't. A few days later at dinner, my husband dropped this bombshell that he wanted to separate to figure things out. I was shocked. He went on to say that he wouldn't file for divorce, but that he needed some space. I didn't know what to say. I felt like my whole world was falling apart. The next morning, I found this message on his phone from a woman named Sarah. I confronted him about it at breakfast, and he claimed she was just a coworker. He seemed really defensive, which just heightened my concerns. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this story. That evening, we had to attend a family gathering for my sister's birthday. It was her party, and of course, I had to put on a happy face. During the cake cutting, my husband got a text from Sarah, and I saw it. He quickly put his phone away, but I couldn't help but feel unsettled. After the party, I confronted him again about the text, and he insisted it was nothing. He accused me of not trusting him, which just made me even more upset. He stormed off to our bedroom, leaving me alone in the living room. I was just sitting there, feeling lost and confused. The next day, I approached my therapist for some guidance on how to handle all of this. I didn't know what to do, and I needed someone to help me figure it out. My husband eventually agreed to sit down for a serious conversation later that week, but I was nervous about what he was going to say. By the end of the week, we had the conversation, but honestly, his responses were just so evasive. He didn't want to give me straight answers, and that just made me even more worried. I don't know where we go from here, but I'm hoping to figure things out soon. Edit: my husband and I have no children. He has mentioned Sarah multiple times, but insists it's work-related. No red flags until now. Am I the idiot for feeling like a 3-star husband after my wife compared me to her wealthy ex? Sitting at dinner on a weekend away with my partner of over 2 years, and after a few drinks, we start to talk about some serious things. My partner begins to talk about her ex who was hurtful and controlling. I already knew about this early on in our dating and relationship, and I have made sure she never feels that I monitor or try to tell her what to do or who she can or cannot associate with. It's not my nature, nor is it something I ever want to engage in. After she finishes going through a few things she experienced, again, all things I already know, I ask her if I've been a good partner for her. Her response is a bit underwhelming. I've been okay. I ask, only okay? She replies, yes, you've been fine. I jokingly say that, well, I suppose I'm happy to be a 3-star boyfriend. To which she replies, no, you're a 3 to a 4-star boyfriend. What would make me a 5-star boyfriend? If you were wealthy. Now for context, I've been separated for 2.5 years after a long marriage, her 6 years. We've been dating for 2 years, and I've turned up every single day. I haven't messaged, talked, flirted, touched, kissed, or entertained the thought of another woman since I met her. I've nursed her to health after a life-threatening operation, loved her the way she has asked to be loved, helped her around her home, assisted her in moving, taken an interest in her work and interests, etc. Trying to be a good partner. I have a stable professional job, my own home, adult children, etc. I'm not perfect, but I think I'm a pretty good boyfriend and future husband material. I've worked hard to interrogate myself for years, and I've never once asked my current partner for validation, until now, perhaps. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but not this. Now I just don't know. After 2 years of dating and working hard to be the best I can be for her, I feel deflated, dejected, sad, and disconnected. How would you react if your partner said this, and how do I deal with this? Now for an update. I didn't think this would be a popular post, so I want to thank everyone for your well-considered responses. I haven't had time to respond to all of you. Given the vast majority of replies have suggested questioning why I'm still in the relationship, I think 2 further points are needed. 1, she has been an amazing partner. She's empathetic, kind, highly intelligent, and a great mom. She's had her struggles, and I really do understand where she's coming from with her past experiences. So I'm also understanding about the relationship cycle she has been through over the years. 2, I'm going to have to talk with her about what those comments mean to me and their impact. This is hard for me given my own relationship history, but since we have talked about moving in together in marriage, this is definitely something that needs more discussion. Thank you all for your replies and consideration. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I'm going to guess that her hurtful boyfriend was wealthier than you are. She has lingering issues from her previous relationship that probably need therapy outside of your relationship for her to properly process and move past. Comment 2. It is possible that it could have been a dumb joke that just didn't land. Edit. If you think this comment is justifying the joke or comment, you are beyond help. Now, for the update. A week after the dinner where Sarah told me I was only a 3 or 4-star boyfriend depending on my net worth, I finally felt ready to talk about it. So, I started the convo, and we decided to chat at home, just chilling on the couch after dinner in front of the TV. It was awkward. But I knew I had to bring it up, so I just went for it. I said, "Hey, I know we've been kind of tiptoeing around since the dinner last week, so I just want to talk about what you said, if that's okay." I told her how I felt caught off guard and confused by her rating of me as a boyfriend. I asked her if she could explain what she meant, and she immediately got defensive and said it was just an offhand comment. I insisted that we needed to address it because I couldn't just pretend it didn't happen. After some back and forth, she admitted she feels insecure about our future together. Like what? I reminded her that we had plans to move in together this summer and that we had talked about marriage and starting a family in the next couple of years. She just went quiet for a while and then opened up about her fears that she wouldn't be able to provide a comfortable life for our future kids. I mean, we had talked about this before, but it was still hard to hear. I think it was because her ex had a lot of money, so she felt safe with him, and she just compared me to him. I listened as she explained how her past trauma influences her current thoughts. I told her that we could build a future together without needing to rely on wealth. It's not like I'm broke. I mean, I'm not a millionaire, but I have a steady job and make a decent amount. I suggested that we could work together on our finances and future plans, and she agreed. The next day, she suggested we visit a financial advisor to discuss our budget and goals. I mean, it wasn't something I had thought about, but it made sense. We scheduled an appointment for the following week, which she seemed excited about. I think planning things out was something she needed, and honestly, it made me feel more secure too. A few days later, I was invited to a family birthday party for Sarah's sister. She asked me to come, and I was kind of nervous because I didn't know how everyone would react to the dinner situation. At the party, family members were asking about our plans for our future, and it was just kind of awkward. Her sister, who's known for being blunt, asked if we were engaged yet. I noticed Sarah tense up at the comment, like she was biting her lip. I tried to deflect by making a joke about needing a bigger ring, but her sister didn't take the hint. She insisted that we should start planning for kids soon, which was just way too much pressure. I noticed Sarah's discomfort and decided to change the subject. After the party, we drove home in silence, and it felt heavy. Once home, Sarah expressed that she felt pressured by her sister's comments, and I reassured her that we'd figure out our own timeline for marriage and kids. We agreed to take things one step at a time, starting with the financial meeting. The appointment with the financial advisor went well. We set a budget together, and I think it really helped us to be on the same page. Sarah seemed more optimistic afterward. We even discussed potential savings for a house, which was exciting. Later that week, I got a text from Sarah saying she wanted to have a serious talk. We met at a local diner where she seemed nervous but determined. She revealed that she found a potential job opportunity that pays significantly more than her current job. I encouraged her to apply, and we discussed what that could mean for our future. I was just so happy that she was taking the initiative. She applied for the job and scheduled an interview for the following week. After the interview, she got a call offering her the position, which she accepted. I was just so proud of her, and we celebrated together. It felt like it renewed our sense of partnership, and we both agreed to focus on our careers and relationship without external pressures. As the week ended, we planned a weekend getaway to celebrate her new job. We needed the break, and it was just a nice way to reset everything. I'm honestly feeling a lot better about everything now. I guess talking it through really helped us both. I'm just glad she's taking steps for her career and that we're on the same page with our future plans. I know we still have a lot to figure out, but I really believe we can do it together. I appreciate everyone who commented on my last post. Your advice helped a ton. I'm just really hoping for the best. Also, I read every comment, so please comment. Edit: Sarah's comments about my worth caused us to discuss our future. She now has a better job and we're planning together. Am I the idiot for refusing to have another child despite my wife's ultimatum and facing the consequences? In the interest of absolute openness and fairness, you should know that before my wife and I got married, we always talked about having more than one child. She was always super clear that she didn't want an only child. Our little boy was born nearly 4 years ago. He was born very premature, and we spent quite a while in the intensive care unit with him. I coped with that whole process by focusing on her and him, and not really on dealing with how I was feeling about things. I found the first year to 18 months of his life incredibly hard. I coped with the stress of the situation by trying to keep on top of absolutely everything and make sure that I was doing everything I could for my wife and baby. I was constantly terrified he was going to die and suffered from nightmares and intrusive thoughts about his death. I felt cross and angry all the time. After speaking to my general practitioner about this, I sought support from mental health services and was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I underwent high-intensity cognitive behavioral therapy, which, fortunately, has seemed to work. The nightmares, anxiety, and anger seem to have stopped. I still find being a father hard, though, and I feel like I am either constantly working or I am off and looking after my son, and I never have any time to wind down. Over the last year and a half, my wife has been desperate to have another baby. I know that's what she wants. I know that's what she has always wanted. However, I really don't want another child. I love my wife and my little boy, and I just want to devote my time and energy to them. I don't want to go through the process of having a young baby again, and I feel like I don't have enough time or energy to be a good dad to another child. My wife is not coping well with this at all. She is incredibly sad and angry. She tells me that I am making this decision from a place of trauma and that everything will just be fine, and that she resents me for taking the opportunity to have another baby away from her. She thinks if we have another child, it will be hard for a few years, and that I might struggle with the first bit, but if we don't have another baby, she'll be sad forever. She says I just need to get more counseling and work on my issues, and then it would all be fine. I don't know what to do. I truly love my wife, and I don't want to be the one who is making her sad. But equally, I feel like it's okay for me to have changed my mind, regardless of whether that is a trauma-based decision or not. Is there a way past this for us? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. How does this situation work for the individuals involved? I don't think it does. Why? One person is going to be resentful of the other no matter what. If she gets her way, he resents her, but he'll have good days and bad days. If he gets his way, she resents him and will always have bad days because until her death, she will mourn the loss of never having more children. If they divorce, he'll resent her for not loving him enough to stay and be happy with just one child. If they stay together, she'll resent him for not loving her enough to give her what she desires. No one is the antagonist here, but sadly, one person will suffer. Comment 2. You both should consider couples counseling. I had my daughter at 27 weeks, and she spent almost 5 months in the neonatal intensive care unit, and it was a horrible pregnancy that traumatized me. I decided I would never have another child, so I totally understand how you feel. The thoughts of my daughter dying and visiting her in the NICU every time an alarm went off made me panic. You and your wife definitely should seek a good therapist and see what happens. Wishing you both the best. Now, for the update. The day after my wife and I had our usual argument, we had breakfast together. And when I say together, I mean we were in the same room, but it felt like we were on different planets. She suggested we go to a friend's baby shower that weekend. She thought the event would be a great way for me to see how joyful having another child could be. I didn't want to do it, but at this point, I was just trying to keep the peace. So I said, yeah, sure, whatever. I was hoping it would help ease the tension between us. Spoiler alert, it did not. The day of the shower was beautiful and sunny, I think. Honestly, I don't remember much about the weather because I was so caught up in my own thoughts. We got to the venue and it was decorated with all these pastel colors and baby-themed stuff. There were balloons and a giant cake, and everyone was just so happy. My wife seemed more animated than usual. I mean, she was practically glowing. She chatted with friends, played games, and just seemed to enjoy herself. I stood on the sidelines most of the time, feeling like I was at the wrong party. During the gift opening part, I watched her coo over all the baby clothes and toys. It was like watching my wife fall in love all over again, just without me. One of the guests, a mutual friend of ours, asked me when my wife and I planned to add to our family. I remember shrugging it off, trying to keep it light. I joked about needing to focus on our son first. My wife shot me a look. You know, the kind that says you're in trouble, but not right now, because we're in public. After the shower, we had a quiet moment outside. She expressed her frustration about my reluctance to have another child. I reminded her about the challenges we faced with our son's early birth. She made a snide remark about being overly cautious and how we could handle another baby together. I didn't say anything. I just couldn't. The next thing I know, we're in the parking lot, and she's yelling at me, saying I'm holding her back. I snapped back, reminding her that this is about our family, not just her dreams. It wasn't pretty. After the shower, we drove home in silence. I could hear the thoughts racing in my head, and I was pretty sure she could hear mine too. I thought we were just going to be quiet for a while and eventually talk it out. Nope. The following week, she scheduled a visit to a fertility clinic without even telling me. I found out when I saw the appointment on our shared calendar. I confronted her about it, and she got defensive, saying we needed to explore our options if we were ever going to have another child. We had a family dinner at my parents' house that weekend. It was awkward. They talked about Jake and Rachel's baby, and my wife took the opportunity to bring up our situation in front of my parents, hoping to get some backup. My mom pulled me aside after dinner. She expressed concern about the strain on our marriage, suggesting we might need counseling. I just nodded. I didn't know what else to say. That week, my wife announced she was considering going through with fertility treatments alone if I didn't want to be a part of it. I lost it that night. I yelled at her, asking how she could even think of doing something like that. She yelled back, saying she was tired of waiting for me to come around. She needed to take action for her dreams. By the end of the month, we had decided to separate temporarily until we could figure things out. I didn't want it to come to this, but I felt like I had no choice. I moved into a small apartment. It was empty and cold. We agreed to communicate about our son, but we had no set plans for the future of our relationship. We were just two people sharing the same space, trying to figure out our lives. Edit. This situation has been tough for both of us. People are concerned about me not being supportive, but before this, I was always on board with what she wanted. I've always been the one to make sacrifices, like when she wanted to move for her job, and I found a job there. We even moved again when she got a promotion. We had agreed to have 2 kids, but after our son's birth, I struggled, and she said she was okay with just 1. Now, she wants to go back to the original plan, but I can't. I need to focus on our son and her for now. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.